All right. So now down to business.
Yeah. So
I read him your text that you had sent me, and I don't know what has transpired since then. So, with you
well,
and
basically, we had a really rough week with Misty and Hayden. My sister has just been very much, she's just breaking a lot of promises. She's not home as much as she needs to be, all the things. Like Hayden's getting really disappointed, and he kind of had a little meltdown this week.
absolutely.
And, he tried to call her. She didn't answer. So he sent her this message that was just like and then he sent the message to me. And I listened to it at work and was crying at work. And then,
Is that because he wanted you to hear what he said to his mom?
yep, he said, this is
Okay.
what I sent to my mom.
Okay.
And then he apologized for swearing in it. And he was like, I just couldn't hold it in. And it was like, I feel like it's definitely one of the first times that he's ever gotten like really angry and voiced that to his mom directly,
Mm-hmm. Good for
which
him.
we've been working hard with him to like tell him like, you need to be respectful, but you have to start letting her know exactly how you feel, bud. It's, and that's so important to let that out. So we were really, really, proud of him for finally voicing that and letting out that hurt.
Did you all
And
express that to him?
mhm,
Okay, good.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And he
Good
had
deal.
his counseling yesterday too, which was really, really good. It was long. It went very long. Usually they take like 40 minutes for him and then like a half an hour with me. Yesterday was like almost 3 hours, like over 2 hours with him. So it was like it was good for him. I could tell that, he could just really needed to release and let a lot of that out. And he's going back to the counseling on Monday too, actually, which he typically doesn't go that quickly again, but they want to see him again. So, I think it's really good. But it turned into a huge fight between me and my sister, and Lonnie is just really like, I am not going to, not necessarily not get involved, but he's not going to talk as long as as long as him and I are on the same page and I'm, you know, respecting his wishes for our home and everything, then he's just going to let me handle the actual conversation with my sister because he is just, still working on not getting angry and giving it to God and all the things. And he does not want to put himself in a situation where he's going to probably lose his mind a little bit and not be able to handle that. So,
Yep.
And real quick, one of the main reasons why is because even though I'm the head of this household and there's certain things, even though I'm not the dictator type, I literally will talk and have conversation and explain to people like I did with Misty a month and a half or 2 months ago about the car that I sold to her and where her money is actually going, and to come to me and tell me she can't make her payment or she can't this or that is really wrong. She needs to she needs to budget and manage her money, and she was all stressed out. She doesn't have enough, and etc.
Yep.
Me talking to her like that, she completely understood, so on and so forth. And then immediately behind my back went to Jamie and said, your husband didn't need to tell me those things. That stuff hurts my feelings. And he doesn't need to be telling me, a grown woman, how to go about spending my money and doing this and doing that. Jamie represented me well, but it still fell on deaf ears in a way.
Yep.
And she told, over this situation, she told Jamie exactly what I thought she would. I told Jamie to begin with, when we knew it was coming to a head, she's going to literally put it on me and say that I'm this way and I'm that way. And the very reason why she can't get what she wants right now is because I'm, what was her word?
tyrannical.
I'm tyrannical. It's nothing against you, Jamie, but your tyrannical husband
Yeah.
and his attitude and telling me how to do things in my life. That's the reason why you're being that way. That's the reason why you're telling me no. Well, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with her feeling like,
Mhm.
I'm the one saying no behind the scenes.
Yep.
That's fine because we have to have our boundaries.
Mhm.
And the
Yep.
thing about our boundaries are, you can't live here, be supposed to be working on yourself and having a relationship with your son, and out in the street spending it with now the third man, and you want us to understand that, and now you want him to come in here and move in here too.
She
The
wants her
answer
boyfriend to
is
move in?
no.
She wants her boyfriend to stay the night here, quote unquote, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And he will pay rent to stay here on the weekends
Does he
because
not
that
have
will
a
help.
home?
He has a home. He lives in Tip Hill with his mom and dad.
How old is this
So
guy?
How old are these people?
long story short there, when Misty started dating Dave, he was dating a woman that he had a house with for 7 years. She kicked him out after they started dating, obviously, and he had nowhere to go but to live with his mom and dad until he saves money for his own place. So now he lives in Tip Hill with his mom and dad. I just realized you guys totally do not know where Tip Hill is.
No,
Like I'm
no.
saying it to like somebody that lives around here. But so
Right.
anyway, it's about
Is
a
that
45-minute drive from our
okay?
house.
That's
And you
not
said
So
they've been staying in an Airbnb. So is Misty footing
yeah,
the bill for that?
they apparently both of them do because they work at the same place too.
Oh,
But she's
okay.
So
broke.
my sister picks him up, brings him all up because he doesn't have his own car, which I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. So suddenly she's got total responsibility for him. She has to take him to work. She has to pick him up from work. She's got to do that for his work schedule. She has to do that for her own work schedule.
And go see
And
him on
she's
his
got to,
breaks.
and go, yeah, and pick him up, go see him on his lunch breaks. So they both work like 2 to 10. So on her days off, she'll go to his work at like 7 o'clock and wait for him to get off lunch and then sit there and hang out with him until 10:30 when he's done with work, and then bring him home all the way to Tip Hill and then doesn't get home until midnight.
Here's the problem with
Meanwhile,
that, really quick. Hayden is seeing every bit of this.
yep,
And
exactly.
and this is exactly what's happening.
Yep.
He
Yep.
is seeing the amount of effort she's putting
Yep.
into this man and the
Mhm.
little effort she's putting into him. That
Absolutely.
is a psychological killer.
Yep, you're absolutely right, John. So I told Misty this week that because of Hayden's well-being, his emotional well-being, and him seeing that, she needs to make a choice. I told her this 1 foot in and 1 foot out isn't working for Hayden.
Mhm.
And what I would like is for you to commit to maybe a date night a week with him and maybe go spend the night with him once a month. The rest of the time, you need to be home for Hayden and showing him that you're putting that effort in. I mean, when I'm telling you she lost her mind, she lost her mind, screaming, swearing, who the fuck do you think you are? How could you possibly think that that's an even reasonable request from me? I'm almost 40 years old. I'm going to do what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm going to be 39 in May. My sister is 37, going to be 38 in December. So she's not that much younger than me,
May what?
Mhm.
Just real quick. Your birthday's
you
May
say?
what?
Oh, May 1st.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yes. So, so that's where we're at. I tried to call her and talk to her on my way to work. I tried to talk to her in person at home. She walked away from me, got super duper upset because she said, I have a solution for all these problems. I want to sit down and talk with you and Lonnie and make a proposal. I said, I'm telling you right now, that is not a good idea. Whatever the proposal is, if it has to do with him staying the night here, Misty, it's not going to happen. So she immediately started crying, yelling at me. This is so unfair. Everyone else gets to have who they want in their life. Even Hayden has a girlfriend who comes over. I'm like, Misty, you're comparing your
You're the
relationship to your
parent.
sons. You're the parent. It's
Yeah.
not. So she just doesn't get it, Tanya. She does
No, she
not get
doesn't.
the mom aspect at all. Like mother to
Yeah.
mother, me to you, like
I
just
know.
to hear it. Would you guys be able to hear something if I send it to you,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Hayden?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Let me do that. I'll be right
Alright.
back.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna look up something.
It's just true.
I know it's so
And she wants
frustrating.
kudos for being sober. Well, kudos to you, but now that you are sober, you have no excuses for not being the mom you're supposed to
Exactly.
be. You know,
Exactly,
I
Tanya.
have been, I don't know, was she on drugs or was it alcohol?
She started out alcohol, went to rehab for the first time for alcohol when she was 15 years old.
Wow.
Then it went to heavier drugs, and she was a heroin addict for 7 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's sober now from heroin for almost 3 years and has lived with us for 2 years in July.
And
So,
that's awesome.
and it is really awesome. But like I
But
told her, and she gets really upset when I say this, but I'm like, Miss, there's more to being a good mom and a good person than just not doing drugs.
I know.
And I know that that's so hard. I know it is.
It is. And addicts all, they have
Kind of
they have
narcissistic personalities in ways as far
yeah,
as,
everything's
and I'm
about
not
them.
saying that to like make you feel any kind of
Oh
way. I
no,
know that
no,
you've
no,
had,
no. Yeah. It's just everything is about them. And she, where was she in her drug when she had Hayden? See, Hayden's how old?
Yeah. So Hayden
Did she get
is
on heroin after
14.
she had him?
Yes. Probably he was about a year old when she started. Well, no,
Okay.
that can't be true. He was closer to 5, but she was drinking and everything and doing all the things.
Yeah.
Remember, honey, because we were in the house on 49 when we actually found out that she was really doing heroin. And Lonnie just held me all night and I was crying. I'm like, oh my God, she's
Yeah.
never gonna come back from
So
this. And
she's
it was
never played the mom role, really.
no, not
Really,
really.
truly. Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
really truly ever.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
she genuinely feels that she's a good mom right now and she's doing everything that she can and she's just trying to navigate so many different things. And she's like, I deserve to be happy too. I deserve to have a relationship. I'm going to lose my relationship if I only can see him, once a month or, I'm like, you're going to see him at work. You're going to go to a movie and dinner or whatever once a week, and you're going to spend the night with him once a month, and you're not married. You're not, you're playing house right now. It's not even the way that we're supposed to do things, and not even let's just set aside all of the normal reasons that we would say, no, we don't want him staying the night here, and just go right to the biblical stuff. What kind of example is it when they're not married, they're not engaged, they're not anything, for us to just be like, oh yeah, Misty, you can come have this man sleep in your bed every night? It's
She
not
has
okay.
a
Well,
very limited number of years left with Hayden. So he
Right.
needs
So
And that's what makes me the most
Yeah.
upset is that for her what bothers me the most is when you place on a child things that are above their level
pay
of
grade, acting like,
comprehension.
yeah.
For her she's done this from the beginning and it's made me very upset. It's not my place to tell her. I've told my wife to tell her.
Mhm.
She will tell Hayden that anything he does that hinders her from doing what she wants to do when she's quote unquote either sober or trying, she will tell him that she's mad at him. And her exact words are, I'm pissed off right now at you for acting up in school or for anything that causes us to talk to her to spend more time with him because he needs that. She gets frustrated with him and tells him, I pay for everything, which she doesn't. But what she does is throws money at him by buying him food constantly or once in a great while buying him something or putting her name on gifts at Christmas time that we purchased and telling him she spent her money out.
And part of the reason that he's having these issues psychologically, mentally, emotionally at school is because of her. So she's taking zero responsibility.
And he's taken it out on us all these years.
Yeah.
We have taken the brunt, especially me, for her lack of mothering and upsetting him. And I have constantly told him, you need to talk to your mom. Because I'd ask him, why are you being like that? Or why are you treating me that way? Well, because I miss my mom and because of it. And I'm like, well, these are things that you have to talk to her about instead of taking it out on us. And he, up until just now, never would, because he never wanted to hurt her feelings or
Yeah.
push her away.
He's scared that he's
Yeah.
going to like push her back
Yeah,
into.
let me ask you all a
Because-
quick question. How,
Yeah.
do we know how Misty responded to his voicemail to her?
Listen to what I just sent you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
It's him, and then it's her response.
Here, John,
Oh.
see if you can hear this.
Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Hold on. Oh, I don't know if I'll. Well,
Well, I
hold on, John, for just a second. It's not playing for some reason. I can't hear it.
Messenger, YouTube, Messenger, expanded. Messenger, type
John, you may try. I can't hear it.
14 seconds.
I'm looking at it.
It's playing, but it's not. I can't hear it.
9:47 a.m.
May it's because my volume was turned down. So here, John, I'll play it.
You have only been here for the past 3 years. What about the other, like, every single other year of my life that you have not been there? I only have 3.5 years until I am an adult. Why can't you see what I'm saying? I get that you found your love of life, but you have to be home. Why can't you just come home sometimes and I can only see you for 2 hours a day? You know I come home at 5. You're tired of your
is it coming in and out, or is it the way I'm hearing it?
It's the way you're hearing it. Here, I'll come in there so you can hear it.
Let me I'm gonna pause this real quick. Okie dokie.
Really upsetting, isn't it?
Oh, I thought.
Can you shut my door, please?
Oh.
The first thing I want you guys to do, as soon as you see Hayden, if you're comfortable with it, let him know how incredibly proud I am of him.
Oh yeah, of course we'll be comfortable with that. Absolutely.
Well, I didn't know if it would upset him that I heard what he said to his mother.
No, I don't think so at all. He knows that we're trying to do anything that is like the best we can for him. and-
Okay, you
yeah.
let him know I could not be more proud of him because he is spot on.
He
And
really
not
is.
only is he spot on, that is a smart kid who gets it.
Yeah, he really does.
Unfortunately, he has a mother who does not
Not
get
get
it.
it.
Everything's his fault. And you know what? Out of the words that she said absolutely nothing.
You know
His
what's funny
mother-
about that? You know what is? It's not funny, haha. But actually, that is exactly so. Hayden verbatim what Lonnie and Tristan said. Hayden played the stuff for Tristan, and they had to talk about it. And Tristan came to me and he was like, "Mom, I know this is kind of like pretentious. I'm only 15. These are kind of adult problems, but." He's like, I just have to say that I don't understand. I'm really kind of disappointed in Aunt Misty. I love her so much, but her response to Hayden was really a whole lot of nothing.
It was,
That's
she
exactly
talked a
what he
lot and
said.
said zero.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
me. And if
I've
I hear
been-
one more
I've been
time,
promised.
go ahead, Tanya.
No, go ahead.
No, say what you gotta say.
I was just gonna say, and all she said is, I've been promising I'm getting my own place. Well, making promises that you don't follow through with mean nothing.
Exactly.
And her reasoning for wanting to get her own place is so she can move in with her boyfriend, not so she could have Hayden more. Yeah, she was gonna have him, but you can tell from the way she said it that her goal is I'm gonna get a place with my boyfriend. So
Right.
but how does that? I mean, yeah, she'll have her own place, but that doesn't make Hayden feel special.
No,
Anyway,
it doesn't.
Go ahead, John.
I don't remember what I was gonna say.
And has
That's
to
what I was afraid of.
But well, long story short, so this is where you guys probably, I would say, just short of need to be more unified than ever to be Hayden's rock solid foundation for him.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
also really proud of him for sharing it with you because what he's doing there is not keeping it inside. He's
Yep.
not expressing his hurt to his mother and then go hiding out in his bedroom. He is sharing it with you guys, which is really saying he trusts you guys
Mm-hmm.
to validate his feelings.
Yes.
So now we turn to Misty. And because, right, obviously, there's absolutely no way all of us can solve Misty and Hayden's problems or even do anything about it at the moment. But if I'm not mistaken, what you guys were really wanting to figure out or kind of get worked through is what do you guys do and how do you handle Misty? Would that be inaccurate?
I feel like so I feel this might sound kind of even pathetic coming from me, but I am pretty steadfast that what we are doing is right. And my problem, my personal problem, is that my relationship with my sister, I feel is really dangerously close to coming to a place right now where we can't come back from. And I am struggling with that as a whole, I guess. That she's putting me in a place right now where I just have to, Lonnie and I, just
Correct.
have to worry about protecting Hayden. And she is somebody that I told her yesterday. Oh my goodness, she, like I said, she refused to talk to me in person.
Mhm.
And then I called her and she hung up on me. And then I just got bombarded at work with voice message after voice message after voice message, like you guys just listened to,
Yeah.
while she's with her man and at work and everything else. And she's just so emotional and and it's just like she genuinely feels that we're just so stuck up. We are so stuck up that we won't meet her boyfriend, that we won't let her do this and that. And we're treating her like one of our children. And she wants to be respected and taken seriously as an adult. And she truly believes that she deserves to be happy herself and to have a relationship. And she says, the once a month thing is literally never going to happen because she'll lose her man and I'm going to make her lose her person. And of course, we were like, well, if that happens, then he's not your person anyway. Who cares? Like, I
Exactly.
literally could care
Which
less.
then I would ask her, well, what do you prefer to lose your man or lose your son?
Yup.
Yes. And,
It's
we had already, I'm sure you guys remember when we first started talking, my sister had her previous boyfriend, one of her previous boyfriends, move in here before. And it was such a problem between me and Lonnie. It nearly cost us our marriage because he
Yeah.
never wanted it to happen. And I asked him anyway on Misty's behalf, do you think, blah, blah, blah. And finally, he just kind of like threw up his hands and was like, and I understood and respected his position that he said no. And I was good with that. But Misty just kept pushing the issue so hard that finally he gave in. But he felt like if I had taken a stronger stance with her from the beginning and represented us, the way that I should have, I wouldn't have been telling him all the things that Misty kept saying because he kind of took that as like I was still kind of coming to him on her behalf, even though I wasn't asking for it, worried about her well-being and stuff like that. So this time, my sister lost her mind because when she came to me with it and said, I want to sit down with you and Lonnie, I said, no, you're not going to sit down with me and Lonnie. The answer is no, Misty. That's it. So now she is so upset with me and said she can't even look at me because I know how important this is to her and I'm not there for her. And I am
oh
not,
my goodness.
What's
I'm not
important to her?
asking Lonnie. I could at least just
The boyfriend.
ask, like, he's offering, $200 or $300 a weekend to stay here.
And
And
then he
I
can
don't
stay in a
care if he's
hotel for
offering
$200 or
him-
$300.
if he's offering $1 million, the damage that it is doing to Hayden,
Exactly.
and yes, mom will be home more because her boyfriend will be there. But what does that do for Hayden's relationship with her? What if that teaches Hayden that the only way she's going to sacrifice and be home for him is if there's a man around, and that is not what Hayden needs. And she isn't a, like he said, she is an adult. She's at a point that you have to, this is a situation we've dealt with some other people. Sometimes you have to let her fall on her face. And I know you're probably scared of where it's going to push her to. And what if she ends up losing the boyfriend? What if she ends up trying to move out on her own and she does, she makes bad decisions, but you're making the right decision and setting healthy boundaries, because she will either grow up and make good decisions or she's not. And you can't continuously protect her for the sake of Hayden, because Hayden has to see the real her, which he obviously already is.
Yeah, and honestly, Jamie,
Yeah.
that's kind of the question that would be presented to you guys. What's more important, not hurting Misty's feelings and being in danger of her not speaking to you for a period of time, or Hayden's protection? And that's a
How
decision.
does-
Absolutely.
How
That's
does Hayden know that you all are dealing with her wanting the boyfriend to move in and that you all said no? Does he know any of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he probably feels like you all are doing the right thing, or does he want the boyfriend to move in?
He totally does not want him to be
Okay.
here.
Let me give you some ammunition here. And I
Mhm.
don't say use the scriptures as a weapon. That's not what I mean. But there is a verse that I can't get off of me that I want you to look up, and you'll know exactly what it is probably before you even look it up. It's 1 Corinthians 7:1. Because if you guys are Christians, now Tanya will vouch for this. We had a couple come to us, wanted to live here for a period of time, not married.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't
Really?
married and they wanted to stay in the same bed. And I said, nope. And the male of the couple tried to convince me that living together was fine as long as you don't have any sexual relations. And then he tried to convince me that he's never done anything. And he said, well, do you believe me when I say I've never done anything inappropriate with her? I said, I can remember my words. I said, I'm skeptical. Like that. Well,
Mhm.
I found a lot of scriptures and I gave him plenty of scriptures because, he professes Christianity. But since then, I have found the nail in the coffin for anybody who wants to overnight with people who are not your spouse. And it's 1 Corinthians 7:1.
It is now,
So-
as to the matters of which you wrote, it is good, beneficial, and advantageous for a man not to touch a woman outside of marriage.
Okay, I don't like that translation. Do you have one, Jamie? That's the
Here.
amplified version,
I'll
and
get that.
that's what it's saying, but I want the other translation.
NIV is now for the matters you wrote about. It is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman.
Okay, sexual relations right there in the Greek has a few different meanings, and we've talked about it on Monday nights. Set on fire, right? Sexual immorality, but it also means cohabit. To
Yep.
dwell together, not being married. So basically, you're living together and having sex outside of marriage. So apparently the people in the Corinthian church were living together without being married. And this is what Paul has addressed in cohabitation. I don't make
And
this
it's
stuff
still
up.
Gotcha.
putting the boyfriend, as a priority over,
Yeah.
and you don't need anybody else living in your house, period.
Yeah,
You
well-
you have given and
Exactly.
given and given, and you can only, it's just, he's using. Yeah, sorry, Don, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say to you guys, you have an opportunity to stand up for your faith. And listen to this thing. I explained this to Tanya the other day. I didn't explain it to her. I quoted it to her because it's a really powerful saying. If people hate you because of Jesus, that's a good thing. If people hate Jesus because of you, we have a problem.
Oh, that's a good one. I
You
like that.
guys have an opportunity to say, look, Misty, not only are we protecting Hayden, and
That was my dog.
I thought Lonnie fell asleep again.
No,
Um,
she's deaf, so she makes all these grunty little pig noises all day. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but you could say not only are we not going to allow it just for practical reasons, We know Hayden doesn't want it, and we're not allowing it, and we're Christians. And 1 Corinthians 7:1 goes against your boyfriend spending the night, and we're not going to compromise scripture for your to protect your feelings. You don't have to word it like that. That'd probably put her on the defense. Say, make it all about you. You know, it goes against our convictions, so we can't allow it. Don't throw her under the bus like I just did, because I'm a little frustrated
Yeah.
with her.
I know. Well, actually, I understand that. Believe me, I literally, when I was like, finally had a moment after work to listen to all of the messages that Misty sent, I was like, actually, I had already said to Tanya earlier in the week, I was like, say a little prayer for me because my mind is going to violence. Like, I wanted to,
Going to
I just
hurt her.
was
That's what I told John. He laughed. She said, not
now-
really, but a little.
yeah, I mean, now you probably
Absolutely.
really understand that, right? Like hearing that, I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Because she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get
Well,
it. So I
her-
did tell her
Sorry,
that
Jamie.
it's okay. I did really tell her yesterday. I said, Misty, we are not going to allow you to spend the night in our home with a man.
Good.
It's not going to happen. We are really, really trying to do everything now God's way. And it literally has saved our marriage.
Yeah.
And I am not going to disrespect our relationship with God that we're building in that way. And I can't do it. And so she was so upset then because she was just like, oh, now you let my here before
Using
and
another. Yep.
Bobby and
She,
Ann.
she is the
there.
epitome of an absolute narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it,
Everything's about her, and until she learns, let me encourage you guys with this. Jamie, you said something I wanted to touch base on that I don't want you to be discouraged about. There might be a time of separation, and you know what? That's okay.
It is okay.
Now, here's what God had dropped on me as you were speaking about that earlier, and it's just heavy on me, and I'm going to just tell you. I'm going to ask you the questions, and Lonnie, jump in if you guys want to. What do you know about the prodigal son?
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
The prodigal son was where he left home, and I'm trying to remember all of it. He leaves home. I know the ending where he comes back home and the father greeted him and
Told him to just come home, right? And he's forgiven.
yeah, something about he was forgiven, and there was something about a ring too, right?
About a what?
I can't recall the whole thing, but I do know that he came back home and the father
Forgave.
let him come back with open arms.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I want you guys to think about in this story, and it's a powerful, powerful lesson. Everybody seems to miss this part of it because it's a beautiful story. This son and this other son, they both have inheritances. So right now you could say Misty has her inheritance with you guys, living in a house, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. When that
And it gets
son,
squandered, right?
he took the inheritance early,
Yes.
went
Yes,
out,
I did early.
lived a wild lifestyle, partying, doing all the crap that kills. And next thing you know, he's wallowing in the mud with the pigs, trying to eat their leftovers.
Right.
Now, what was the father doing in the times that this son is out doing stupid stuff, eating with the pigs? What did the father do?
Just let it be.
Correct. Did he go chase him?
No.
No. So then when the son came home, what was the trigger on that son?
He was worried about his father never wanting to see him again, right? He knew he messed up. He knew he was lucky with what he had at home.
Okay. That's close. But I think the wording in the scripture says he came to the realization.
Yep.
We missed that part, and I'm emotional because this is the way God works. Misty has got to come to the realization before she's going to receive anything from you, from Lonnie or even her own son. And for that realization to take place in that particular story, he had to lose everything first.
Yep.
The difficult part is we don't talk about the father enough. That father may have been in agony. That father may have been in turmoil. That father may have been dying to go chase.
Yep.
But he set back. Because if you just take what I'm saying here, guys, don't get in God's way of moving. This
Okay.
is why I preach until I'm blue in the face about don't overstep boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. Boundaries, when you put yourself in your boundary, and you have to decipher where those are. And that's something you and Lonnie discuss, but overstepping your boundaries, trying to do more, literally can get in God's way
Mhm.
of God moving. And if you do that, let's go back to Matthew. Now, Lonnie is a Matthew guy right now. When Peter, and I think I've explained this to you before, but it is so powerful, so powerful. Jesus was asking the disciples, who are these people saying that I am? And they said, well, some say you're Elijah, some say you're Moses. And he said, who do you say that I am? And it was Peter that spoke up. Peter, the rough, reactionary, spur of the moment, don't think things through dude, said, you are Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus' response was, upon this house, I will build my church, on that statement, right? Next verse, Jesus says, I'm going to have to go die now. Peter said, I'm not letting that happen.
Mhm.
What
Yep.
was Peter's motivation? Was it a good motivation?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good motivation, but that's when Jesus said, "Get behind me."
Bingo.
Satan. Yep.
Bingo.
That's right.
Do you think for a minute Jesus enjoyed looking at his close friend and saying, get behind me, Satan? No.
Mhm.
No.
No, because I'm sure he had moments of being absolutely terrified and knew what was going to happen. And,
Yep.
and, you know, I mean,
And he felt the love.
yeah.
He knew Peter's intentions was because he loved him, but he knew
He
this
was
is what had to happen.
okay.
It had to
So
happen.
what's the lesson here with Peter? Oh, go ahead, Lonnie.
Sorry. Jesus also knows. This is what I was telling Jamie the other day. We were having the same kind of conversation about, teaching and leading people. Jesus was leading them. So they were like children, like you were talking about, John, before. They're like children. They're following him.
Yep.
And you were giving the levels of how Jesus responded to people. He responded to the teachers of the law differently than he responded to other people and so on.
Correct.
The big thing about the level of the disciples and his teachings and him coming across kind of like he's scolding them like a parent would scold their child, but loving at the same time. Jesus knows that they're following him. So that means they're looking to his every move,
Right.
his every saying. They asked so many questions. The teachers of the law, they weren't really asking him questions, and when they did, it was putting him on the spot to try to trick him. They weren't asking to learn from him. They were asking to cover up their own
Bingo.
agendas.
Spot on, Lonnie.
So with the disciples, literally, it's like your kids coming to you and asking you everything. So what do I do next? So what do I do next?
Yep.
And he said, are you that narrow-minded?
Yep.
Well, that's almost like just to wake them up, like a gentle tap to say, you got to start thinking for yourself. You need to start really digging into this and really learning it, not just waiting for me to give you a spoonful every minute, every second of the day.
Yep. Well, here's what I would encourage you guys to do, though. Be in prayer about it. Bible says, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer and supplication, make your request be made known to God. James talks about ask him for wisdom, and he'll give you as much wisdom as you can handle in handling this. Because again, I want to reiterate what we talked about in our very first or second meeting. Unity, teamwork, and partnership is a must, not just in turmoil, but when things are good too.
Mhm.
It is a
Yes.
must, because if you're not, there is a space. That's what the devil wants. And so with Misty, I'm encouraging you this because I don't know. I just feel, I don't know what you guys are thinking right now. And you can tell me in a minute, but remember the prodigal son. The father never turned his back on the son. But he also let him go. And technically, that's what Misty's doing right now. She is
Mhm.
rebellious. She's got a spirit of resistance and rebellion and stubbornness. Absolute narcissist. Every single characteristic I've heard from her is narcissist, as a narcissistic personality. When she goes, she might cuss you guys up and down. You guys need to figure out how you're going to respond when that happens. But you can still love her through it. But you also don't have to let her cross your boundaries either, which is loving her. That's hard for people who are people pleasers. I was in that boat and I'm still in that boat. You know who I put boundaries up with not very long ago, guys? A couple named Terry and Carissa.
Really?
Now, I cut them off because, and I'm telling you this since you're family, to kind of update you, 5 weeks in a row, they made 2 sessions. One of them they canceled within the hour. The other 2, they just didn't even show up. And the last one, I was like, guys, we're waiting. Oh, we forgot, we're painting. And I'm like, well, if you forgot, and this is the 3rd out of 5th time you've missed a session, I don't think you're taking this very seriously. And I said, I am, and I keep all of my text messages. And I sent them and I said, I really want to work with you guys, do whatever I can to help you. But I am canceling future sessions until I know you're committed.
And we can respect the fact when somebody's not ready, but just don't, just kind of
Yeah.
say, I'm not ready for this. I'm not committed to it and I'm not going to waste your
Right.
time. So just
And
go
that
on.
was not easy for me. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody, if you know me, I am sensitive, but God has grown me into a point through the word, seeing how Jesus responded. A prophet is only without honor in his own hometown. That is a marriage scripture, if I've ever heard one. And so he goes, like, all right, I'll go where I'm honored. I'm not honored here. See ya. And that was
My
Jesus's
statement,
attitude.
not to cut you off, John, but my statement with that, like with jobs and so on,
Mhm.
I would rather be somewhere where I'm celebrated instead of tolerated.
That's it. That's it. I want to ask a question real quick before I forget. Jamie, is Misty involved with Hayden's therapy and all of that stuff that goes on? Is she involved at all with that?
So when we went initially, she came, and it was pretty good for them. It was hard on Misty. She didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But then she took him to one appointment.
Mhm.
And he was actually scheduled for another appointment,
Mhm.
and it was supposed to be his last appointment before they decided if before a diagnosis officially, does
Yeah.
he have ADHD or bipolar like his mother, or anything that we need to be concerned about as far as that goes. She literally missed 4 appointments. And then I took over.
Cut him off just like John just did with.
Yeah, they were going to cut him off. And I
Mhm.
called the doctor's office and asked them, can we come in this week? I will bring him directly myself. And so I just took over. And
Okay.
yeah.
She does not care about what happens to him. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obvious that it's
Narcissists
just
don't
all about,
care.
it's all about her. And
Yeah.
I would love to be able to talk with her. I was not, I had alcohol issues, but I was not that type of mom. I never left my kids, never deserted them. I was not the mom I needed to be emotionally. I wasn't there for them the way I should have been, but I definitely never deserted them. But I did make decisions that was selfish. And I, if I could change one thing in my life, it wouldn't be to have money or to have this back or that back. It would be to put my kids a priority over all of my stupidity, and to not put them through the trauma of, is mom going to be okay? Is mom, she's drinking, is she, she gonna just. And then even after becoming sober, it took a while for me to realize the mistakes I had made and the pain of it. I mean, I don't know how she doesn't cry her eyes out, realizing what she put him through every single day. I'm like a great mom now and a great nana, and I still have a hard time if something comes up. It literally breaks my heart in two. We're closer than we've ever been. But if I had not made the decision to be a good mom and to love them and to make better decisions, I probably wouldn't be close to them now. So
Yeah.
it's
really hard. It is, I don't know. Yesterday when Misty and I talked, the only feedback she gave me about what Hayden had said was, Jamie, I don't need you to put me down too. Believe me, Hayden did that enough for me yesterday.
That's not him
She's
putting
a
her
victim.
down. It's the
She's a victim.
truth.
It
Yes,
is. It's just the truth.
She's being a victim and she's saying he's putting me down. But if she could just realize the picture he painted is exactly who she is, she would fall out on her face and repent to God and go to Hayden and be a totally different person. But she does not see herself the way everybody else sees her. She sees herself different. And until she can see herself the true way, look in the mirror and truly have a come to Jesus moment, she's going to continue to make selfish decisions, and you have to let her fall on her face.
Can I say something here?
Yep, absolutely.
I want to say this. I've been talking to my wife and trying to hint at this in ways, and the feedback I get is either, her being quiet and trying to think her own thoughts and so on, which I encourage that. I don't like to, I'm not a puppet master, but what I am is a person that tries to say, hey, look, this is what's best for all of us.
Yep. That's your job.
My voice is deep. Okay. And this is a situation when someone lives in your home. Where are we going to go to talk about this? We need to talk about it. I'm trying to. I'm just talking. I want to get the point across that I think that it is now time, if she doesn't get it enough or allow for some type of understanding, or her make a sacrifice to just go with the way that what we're saying until she can see better for herself, then it's time. I think it's time for her to go. And I think the reason being is because the very last situation, Jamie and I almost lost our marriage. I was on the brink of leaving because I was completely and utterly disrespected all the way around. I lost vehicles. I was told in my own home by her last boyfriend that came here that I didn't want to come here, that basically anything that I feel like should be done or whatever in my home or with my personal belongings, like my vehicles and so on, then take it in blood, meaning in the streets. Let's get it.
Wow.
I looked at him and I said, say no more. I was standing in my house. He was coming to get his stuff that Misty threw out because she was upset with him that week. I went outside the door and he cowardly jumped into the vehicle that he was brought here in to get his stuff, then acted like he was going to jump back out until he seen me coming, and totally took off and screamed profanities and told me that he was going to catch me in the street and he was going to do this and do that and so on and so forth. and then called Misty immediately and lied and said that I mentioned calling the cops, and when he heard that, he can't be involved because he is a felon for violence and so on. My
Imagine
whole
that.
point is to Misty, your men that you choose are violent,
Yeah.
felon, drug addict, alcoholic people, so on and so forth. And the same with this one.
Yeah.
All I tried to do is get her to understand that I am the protector of my home, and you want me to allow people that I don't know who are like this into my home. And if you can't get that, and if you can't understand the fact that your son should be your top priority, whether you say he is or he isn't, and if the man is more important to you, which you're going to fall by putting your faith, your money, your time, your effort into this type of situation, when your purpose for being here to begin with, and the only reason why I allowed you to come to my home was to better yourself. You are not bettering yourself. You've been here for 2 years. You're broke. You've
Okay.
been here for 2 years. You've been through 2 different vehicles of mine. You've been here for 2 years, and you have still not made your relationship with your son what it should be. I think it's time for you to go and realize what's the most important to you, because
So,
we're not getting you where you need to be.
Right.
Jamie had to sacrifice way too long to get her to even get her license. Now that she's gotten her license, it's like giving a boy a rope. Now he's a cowboy. You are gone 24/7. You neglect the vehicle. You sometimes don't even have your payment. You don't even make appointments to get certain things fixed. And when you have to, you complain that you have to get them fixed. So on and so forth. And I also think that that vehicle should be left right here. I'm not going to let her leave, take that vehicle. She has no money and she has problems making her payments now every once in a while, and yet just be gone.
Mhm.
You know, I know this new boyfriend is driving it. It's on my insurance.
mm-mm.
It's too much. It's way too much. And
Yep.
I'm going to end up in the same position. And here's the big thing: for my own salvation and my own coming to my faith and following the word, I cannot be following the word if I'm helping, which is what God wants me to do. But yet at the same time, while I'm helping, I'm putting myself in positions that I know I'm going to be in to backpedal in my faith and literally go outside that
Okay.
door and do things how I used to.
Mhm.
And
Now,
how I
Lonnie,
used to
really quick,
is
I'm going to
not
look.
good.
Yeah, I'm going to look up something. You keep talking. I'm not going to hear the next probably 30 seconds because I've got a screen
Okay.
reader going, but you go ahead and keep talking. I'm going to look up something because there's a scripture I want to bring to you.
That's basically what I have to say, is that
Okay.
the last time I almost engaged in literal battle with a person who is supposedly was a gang member and everything else. I'm not scared, and I'm just not wanting to be that man.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I know myself, and when it comes to protecting my home, the things that make, I mean, right now I'm struggling to have a vehicle.
Yeah.
And I asked her for help. She can't help me. She has a vehicle that I've helped her with. She's gone 24/7. I'm sitting there waiting for Jamie to get out of work till 8, 9 o'clock when I've been done since 2 in the afternoon. I'm sitting in a day cab truck at my PTL
Mhm.
waiting for Jamie to get there for all those hours, because here I am trying to help other people, which is what I'm supposed to do.
Well,
But
there's a difference between helping and enabling.
Yeah.
correct.
you
And at
And
the
you
end
have
of
to
the
know the
day,
difference.
at the end of the day, I've got people making up words that aren't even in a dictionary to describe me behind my back to my
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
I
verse I
am
want you to look up.
tyrannical.
Yeah, well, Lonnie, let me encourage you with this, and I'm going to say this, and you may not have. I sit back and I analyze, and it sounds, and I'm going to tell you why I don't want you to do this anymore. Jamie or Tanya, get me Proverbs 22:3. I'm going to encourage you, Lonnie, with this. For the sake of my salvation, for the sake of this, for the sake, you don't have to justify your decision about with this scripture I'm about to show you. There's no reason to justify it. If I don't do, well, then you don't even have to worry about justifying, because asking her to leave because of the turmoil, the disrespect, the entitlement factor, you don't need a justification. And I don't want you to think that you have to come up with other reasons to justify doing the right thing. Now, you may not have realized that's what you did. It may not have been what you did, but it sounded like that's what you were doing, trying to justify to make it the right decision. I'm telling you, read
Oh,
that.
not the right decision for myself, but you are right. I am doing that, but I'm doing it for my wife.
It's same principle.
Yeah.
Same. And this is an encouragement to you. This is not a Lonnie, stop it. That's not what I'm doing. It is an encouragement to you to say, well, read this verse and then tell me if you needed to say all of that other stuff that you just said. Go ahead, somebody. Proverbs 22:3.
Okay, it says the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty.
What does that say to you, Lonnie?
That says that if I stay simple and not stand fast, then I'm going to continue reaping what I'm putting into it. I'm going to continue to deal with the same situations over and over again.
That's right.
If I don't heed the word of the Bible that says put up a boundary.
Yep. Bingo. Now, here, the prudent means those who are cautious about the future. The prudent, those who are cautious and think things through. The prudent see danger. You see the potentials, and I think even Jamie sees the potential of what's going to happen if we keep doing what we're doing, and take refuge. In other words, you're going to take the action, because if you don't, the simple, read that last part, Tanya. The simple, I forgot it, how it was worded.
The simple keep going and pay the penalty.
The other word for simple, foolish. The foolish just keep on going, and then they pay the penalty for it. So what it's saying is, if you're wise, you're diligent, and you've got this, you foresee the things that are coming. You can't see what's coming. This is why I talk about distractions and why I stay as mainstream as I can. It's hard to see stuff if you're all over the place, right? If you're driving your car and you're looking at every single building that you're passing, there's nothing wrong with glancing. You're going to run into somebody because you're not alert. And the Bible says to be alert, sober-minded, because the enemy roams around like a roaring lion. Keyword, like. Not as one, not because he is one, like one. He is an imitator, to seek whom he can devour. In other words, this is not his authority. He's just looking for somebody to give it to him. You've seen how he's worked through different avenues to screw up your marriage. Now he's defeated because you guys have unified and come together. But now there are other aspects that you guys as a team can also defeat his plan, because we're not unaware of his schemes. And we know marriage is his number one target. It is absolutely his number one target, because if he divide and conquer, if he can get a space, if you want to take down a man, go get the woman. We've seen it in Genesis, right? If you want to defeat a woman, get an egomaniacal man who thinks he's the stuff. And this macho man, the book I'm writing about, the husband's devotional, I've got the title, Godly Strong, A Husband's Cure to Macho Man Syndrome. That's the name of the book. Because if you read it, apply it, you don't feel much macho anymore. But anyway, the prudent foresee the danger and take refuge. But the foolish stay on the same path, and then there's a consequence. You pay a penalty. And I know this is probably
And-
really difficult for Jamie to hear.
I'm tired of paying penalties. I'm looking at my wife right now and I'm telling her this right in front of you guys. I'm tired of paying penalties to keep a good atmosphere between you and I. I'm tired of paying penalties to you know, not that I'm the only one in it. You do too. You suffer through a lot of stuff, but here's the difference between you and I. You asked me a long time ago, or told me, you and I are different. You're exactly right. We're different.
Yep.
We are different in the fact that I don't relish in going through circumstances that I know I'm not strong enough to handle when I know it's going to happen. And you make yourself strong enough. But at the same time that you make yourself strong enough, I'm the one that gets neglected or suffer through things that you're dealing with, because then you get yourself put into a position where you are not feeling loving. You are not feeling like you have enough room or time or energy and so on, because you're holding everything in your backpack that is being thrown at you so that you can keep a good relationship and a good rapport. And it's not just Misty, Bobby, Jeremy, Melissa, your mom, everyone around you. You will bear all of it, but then I'm the one that's left over here in the backdrop while you're spending all your time trying to fix it, spending all your time trying to educate them, spending all your time trying to keep a good relationship going and enabling them. Meanwhile, I'm out here on the edge every time. And when I tell you, we need more time, we need to spend more time, you need some time away from that, you need to step back and take a good broad look, so on and so forth, you tell me basically you cannot, you can't, because your mind frame is not there. And that makes me suffer for you because I care about you and I feel like you're taking on so much. It's so funny how things happen. The very beginning of this conversation that we started having today was talking about the differences between a man and a woman and how much a woman thinks so much into stuff and we just don't. It's not that we don't care.
That's
We
right.
just don't care to make it our full focus.
That's right.
Because it's hard enough for us to focus on what we need to do anyway. I look at it like this, especially now that I'm reading more and talking with John and Tanya. I feel like in a marriage, a man and a woman are pillars and equal. And we're meant to take on and hold certain things and bear certain things. And some of us are stronger in one ways than the other and so on. But if one of them takes way too much on and the other one is not able to do that, it becomes lopsided. Because whatever you take on, I have to take on with you. And I know from past experience, and I knew before I even experienced it in this home, in this life, in this marriage, what these types of things can do. I came from an atmosphere where this is everyday life. Drugs, divorce, neglect, abuse. I see it and I know what's coming. And I said this before every event, and I'm not saying this to put it in your face that, because I was the ultimate decision maker to do it. But the reason why I did it is because I'm trying to make us stronger, and I was doing it the wrong way. I wasn't going biblically. I was doing it more for your feelings and my feelings and trying to work with you instead of trying to strengthen you and strengthen us. Well, now I'm telling you, it's time to strengthen us, because those who came to us for help have succeeded in their minds, their need for our help. Now it's their need for us to just sit back and let them be them on our time, our faith, our dime, our patience, our everything, and just turn a blind eye. Well, the longer I turn a blind eye, the next man will be coming around here, and I'm already irritated about him driving that vehicle and doing all those things. And when something serious happens and I'm put in a position where it screws up everything for us, I'm one step away from being on foot to go to work, from home to work, right
And
at this
that's
moment.
not acceptable.
And if that person presents himself, I am not strong enough yet in the word to not go to a place where I don't want to go. And I need to put up a boundary. We need to put up a boundary instead of hashing this out every single day when we already know. It's already been put in our face twice now.
Jamie, what you got?
Something's got to be done.
Yeah.
Jamie, let's hear from you.
Oh. Well, you know, I set up the boundary with Misty about seeing him once a month and that situation. And then last night we left it at, listen, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're gone from work from 1 to 11. You don't even get up until like 10 or 11. You get ready for work and you leave. Hayden doesn't see you anyway. He's used to that. He knows you have to work. So do what you want to do outside the home on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and make sure you're here Monday through Thursday. I don't care that he has to go to work. You're not bringing him. Yeah. And if, you know, you need to be here Monday through Thursday for Hayden, you don't work, stay your butt home, and that's it. And if you can't do that, then we have a big problem and it's not going to work. And she just replied, okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, you know, at this point, I'm thinking Lonnie is 100% right. I want us to continue to grow in the right direction. And I know it's better for us, and not only better for us and our marriage, but also, you know, gives them the opportunity to stop leaning so hard on us and start building their own life. And like you said, kind of get out of the way so God can make his plan come to fruition for them too, not just us. So I feel like Misty needs to really heed to that and allow herself, thank you, and allow herself to, you know, feel that she needs to set boundaries too. And if she can't do that and it's not our business, I'm not going to keep on, you know, trying to live for her and live for other people. I just have to say, all right, you know, we gave this a couple weeks. You didn't do it, Mist. You have 4 weeks. You got to find out. You got to do something else. This isn't working, you know. And I'm in agreement with that and understand how Lonnie feels because it is the case.
Okay.
Well, it's
Does
not
she
that-
make enough money to be able to be out on her own and she's just blowing
My
it because she hasn't chosen to do that?
Well, the thing is, my sister works at a really busy diner. She makes very good tips. Usually, like, you know, anywhere from $600 to $900 a weekend.
Oh,
And
wow.
she spends most of that on Airbnbs and hotels and
Oh,
food for her and her
heck
boyfriend.
To the no way. That is ridiculous. Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
So she's got the
But
money to
can
make
I
it.
say, can I piggyback off of Jamie real quick?
Yep.
I don't think, and I'm not trying to correct you, but I don't think that's a boundary. And I haven't said this yet, but I've heard many conversations for this whole week while I'm riding back and forth carpooling with you. You telling her when and where and how she can see her man.
Mhm.
I understand your angle at it, and it's for Hayden,
Mhm.
but that's mothering. And I have to be honest, I think she's absolutely right. At her age, I don't think, other than the fact that she's living here and doesn't really pay any bills,
Mhm.
I don't think that that is something that you can tell a person
Mhm.
how much and how often they can see their person that they want to be with. Even though we're smarter and know that this is the third one in only a few months and she's completely in love and making plans to have children and plans to be married with him and all this other stuff. All those things are being said out of her mouth. We already know it for her to get what she wants and to make us feel like this is now the one. Well, you know what? Maybe it is now the one, but I'm not God, so I don't know if it's the one for her or not.
Mhm.
All I know is I think she's really young in being trying to be an adult right now.
That's right.
She's taking baby steps, or she should be taking baby steps, and she's actually steering the cow, literally.
Yeah. I'm
Instead
going
of
to
drinking the
interrupt
milk,
because I want to back you up, Lonnie. Now, Jamie, poor Jamie, she's probably getting her artillery on at this point. I'm going to back up Lonnie on this one because, again, he's spot on with this because it's what I thought. I didn't say it, but I'm glad he did. Because I'm going to challenge you guys to approach her differently for the reason that Lonnie just said, because the more you tell her her rules of seeing this man, the more
Yeah.
she's going to rebel against you.
Yep.
Instead of handling it like that, I would say, your son needs you. Could you sit down and make yourself a schedule out so you can spend more time with your son and leave the man out of it? Because that guy's not going to be around much longer. We know that. All of us know that. Because a relationship built on what they're building on is it's going to
what I
falter.
said yesterday, John.
Yeah.
I
So,
said
and
the
I'm
way
not.
they're doing it, it's not going to work.
That's
anyway.
right. That's right. He's only a temporary fixture. And I'm not, you guys know me well enough. I don't come at anybody as far as, unless I have to. Yeah, I did come after Lonnie one time, but this is not a coming after you. This is an awareness thing that what you're saying. And I mean, I think Lonnie actually summed it up really well. His words were really gentle. We understand why you're saying to her what you're saying. As a matter of fact, we all agree with you.
Mhm.
The
I bet.
approach just needs to be modified.
Mhm.
So, because one thing you don't want to do is give them a reason to be on the defense. And she is already in that mindset anyway. You could tell her, nice, your hair looks nice. And she's going to say, it didn't look good yesterday. There's just that type of a mentality.
She's
behind
already
it.
got the gun. You're just putting the bullets in.
Yeah.
And
So
she needs to make the decision herself as to
Yeah.
how she chooses Hayden over this man, because if you choose it for her, she'll never be able to do it on her own. She has
Right,
to
and
be able to make the
let me
choice.
put this in there for Misty. Misty right now, or for the past 3 months, has literally been crying out saying she's about to lose her mind. She is spread too thin and she doesn't know what to do.
And she's asked for us to step in and help her, and what do I think would be a good schedule, things like that. This is
Yeah.
something
But
that
when
she's
you
actually
present the
asked
schedule,
for
she's
help.
like, no, that ain't happening. And if Hayden presents it, then she cusses him out. And I think that's wrong. And I also think, real quick, as gently as I can say it, this has been the past few months, the times that she has cussed Hayden out, you kind of treated Hayden the same way you've treated me when I've had dealings with Hayden. You would step back and watch to see what his reaction is going to be and everything. I think right then and there, it should have been biblically, but look right at Misty right in front of Hayden on every one of those occasions and say, wait a minute, I cannot allow you to treat him in that way. That is your boyfriend and your relationship that you created, not Hayden's. That is not his responsibility to have compassion for you and how much time you have and what your schedule's like and everything else. Those are things that you need to be telling your boyfriend, that I have a son at home and you need to understand the fact that I need to spend time with him too. And you're going to have to work on getting your own car, or you're going to have to work on doing these
Absolutely.
things.
So
You
she
have
cusses
said those
Hayden
to her,
out.
but at different times, not at that moment.
Yeah, now I want to bring up something else that Lonnie brought up that got skimmed over because, and Jamie, you and I in this group have talked about the stress levels that you experience and always helping and feeling overloaded and all of that. Did you hear what Lonnie said when he was talking about that and how he feels? I'm curious what your
Yeah.
thoughts are.
Yeah, he definitely voiced that, I spread myself too thin and get myself stressed out and just so much on my mind that he's put to the wayside.
And so remember the analogy I used earlier. When we start and get up in the morning, we have 100%, right?
Yes.
Where is that percentage throughout the day when you and Lonnie finally come together?
Right.
Is it
Hmm.
down to 5%? 6? Does he even get that type of thing? This is why I think really everybody, I hope, is starting to get a glimpse. Yes, men and women are different. If we weren't different, it'd be boring. If we were the same, there's no room for growth because that's the way God created it. But it doesn't say in the word having too much information is just for the man. There's a reason the scripture says that. There's a reason the scripture says put up boundaries. There's a reason the scripture says don't cast your pearl before swine. Putting something valuable in somebody who's just going to trample all over it. Sound like that's what you're doing to me with Misty. Every time you try to help, she tramples on it or she swallows it. And then she becomes a wild boar and tries to turn around on you guys and make you feel like crap for trying to help her. So when you take on more than you're supposed to, let's measure this up, guys. We just talked about it Monday night a little bit, but let's just measure this up. When you're overwhelmed, taking on more than any human should have to, one question is that because you just want to help, or is it because you feel guilty to help, or is it because I forgot the third one, doggone it, you want to help, or is it because it is an absolute need? Because the Bible talks about not burdening others. Well, we have to reverse that as well. Okay, so when you think about all of these things that you take on, and this goes for all of us, I'm not just talking to Jamie. This is for Lonnie, it's for Tanya, it's for John, and for Jamie. When you take on a load, number one, marriage is to be held in honor among all. Do you honor your marriage by that? Well, let's use Jamie's situation. You're burdened down so much, you're exhausted. Could that qualify as defiling your marriage bed?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So strike one against Hebrews 13:4. A marriage is to be held in honor because technically, I would argue, and I'm saying this to help. I hope you guys get this. You guys hopefully by now know my heart behind what I do.
Yeah, definitely.
If you are doing all of that, making everything else your priority, even if it's just for you, and you're not even just you, you're technically dishonoring your marriage because honor means value and holding it in value. Your marriage is the most valuable thing according to God's word. Well, if you're taking on so much, everybody, that other people can do, or you're doing something for them that they should be doing, you're dishonoring your marriage because you're wearing yourself down with unnecessary weight, which is draining you from the effort you could be putting into your marriage instead. Okay. Number two, let's talk about our intimacies. When we're under a lot of stress, we're taking on more than we should. We're When you guys, listen, I've already done studies on this. This is why I'm talking about it now. This is why I know about it.
Uh-huh.
Where does your spiritual intimacy come in at that point? Are we focused on God while we're doing everything for everybody else, trying to save everybody else's world, trying to make sure nobody's inconvenienced, trying to make sure that nobody has to do anything when we can do it for them, because God forbid they do it themselves? Are we helping in a way that's literally hurting them
We are.
because they become codependent? They begin
Yeah.
to expect you to do everything for them. And then what happens when you say no? They get mad. Not God's plan. It's taken away from your mindset on God. Colossians 3:2, set your mind on things above, not things in this world. Okay? There is a time and a place to help. Absolutely. Jesus tells us to do that. But unnecessary. If it's unnecessary, why? If it's just so somebody's not inconvenienced, everybody's inconvenienced because, okay, Jamie, you go run and help somebody. No, I'm going to spin it on Lonnie. Lonnie runs and helps somebody because he's worried about them being a little inconvenienced.
Right.
What he just did was took himself away from you to go make sure they're not inconvenienced, which in turn inconveniences you because you would rather him not do that because they can do it their own selves. Spiritual, emotional, physical. There's like a little, it's like the Chinese water torture. It might not be so bad here and there, but after a while, your spiritual intimacy drops because you're not focused on God. You're trying to fix everybody else. And that's the word Lonnie used. She's a fixer. She wants to fix everything. She wants to take care of everybody. Well, if you, everybody, this is a sermon for all of us. We aren't prioritizing our spouse and taking care of our spouse's needs, as Sarah would say from the group. First, you're adulterating your marriage. You're in disobedience with God. You're hurting your intimacies, and you're flat out of order. And if you are not taking care of your spouse's needs first, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, hear me out. I'm getting emotional. This must be the way God confirms things that I'm supposed to say because I start getting emotional now. If you do not take care of your spouse's needs spiritually, emotionally, and physically, you have no business going outside of the walls of your house and trying to help somebody else. That, my friends, is a scriptural principle. If you are not taking care of your home, specifically your marriage, before everything else,
right,
you have no business in anybody else's business. That's the word of God. Sorry, I get passionate because it's true. God's word is real, and we don't really follow it like we should.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that our big goal when we first started out with you was that we're going to go to the Bible for everything. Just if we have an issue, what does the Bible say? If we have a question, what does the Bible say? What does the Bible say? What does the Bible say? So it is so important that we just go right to, making sure that what we read and what we know, we do. You're right. We have to take it more seriously. Those scriptures matter. We got to follow them to a T and put each other first, put our marriage first, put God first, and just not feel guilty about it. Just say, hey, this is what we believe and this is what we have to do. So in that light, it's like, honestly, I kind of feel a little undervalued and disrespected by my sister.
Of course.
You know, me directly, Lonnie, you know, they have a love-hate relationship and always have. But I don't think that she's even understanding, like, just asking me to do these things when you already know the problems that it caused.
Yes, she does. That's
Before.
why she goes to you and doesn't even bother to ask me or tells you.
But
to
she
ask
shouldn't even ask me based on what she knew she already put us through the first time.
Yes, yes, she should. Just
You
like
know?
everyone in your family could ask you. You know why? Because you've made it an open door
Well,
policy.
hey, well, let's,
Day one.
right. Well, we've addressed that. We've addressed that. I just addressed that. So let's move forward with this.
Right. I'm not trying to point it out to her, put it in her face. I'm just saying that her family is under the understanding that Jamie, I mean, because Misty's not the only one that has said it recently. Bobby said it the other day. You know,
Said what again? Make sure I'm on the same page.
Bobby said the same thing the other day. It's not just Misty. They already know that they have an open door motherly policy with Jamie. It's not, I'm not saying it's your fault. Honestly, I tell my wife all the time, her mother set the catalyst from the beginning and still does it to today. I said the other day, if your mother, if you call, I asked you, I said, did you talk to your mother about this? Because if you did, you know exactly what her response is going to be if it comes down to Misty having to move out or whatever. Your mother automatically starts to see a threat that they're going to start calling her if they can't get it from you. And your mother's going to literally know that. And she's going to tell you, Jamie, you can't listen to your husband and put Misty out on the street.
Okay, so
You
right
can't
there,
let her do that.
that's not what the scriptures say, Mom.
Right.
The scripture says to be submissive to my husband in the godly things. And listen, guys, it's hard to teach this as a man because if a woman doesn't receive this from God and receives it from a man speaking it, you're going to miss the power of it. The man has a specific role in marriage, and God gives the man the gift, the purpose of managing his wife because we can see things that a lot of times, and most of the time, quite frankly, wives don't see. And it's not a thing against the wife. The wife has, Tanya had a dream last night that I am pondering right now. So he speaks to her. It's not like he just comes to me and she has to obey everything I say. But when it comes to stuff like this, when the marriage is being damaged and Lonnie feels that Jamie's actions, reactions, involvement in too much stuff and all of that, that's the godly role a husband takes. And in the meantime, wives, I'm speaking to Tanya too. In the meantime, if the wife is truly, sincerely submissive to Jesus, knowing that her husband, whether it's Jesus or Lonnie or John, has the best interest of the family as a whole, then you technically will honor God by saying, I don't care if I like it or not. That's my husband. That is valuing your marriage. And I will also say this, if we are wrong and we're in tune with God, he will let us know we are wrong. And then we will make the corrections necessary to be in his will as well. Because just as the wife can be in disobedience, so can the husband.
Right.
And it's a really thin line to walk because you want what's best for the spouse. I'm going to bet you that if I could pull out the interior part of Lonnie, he's got a lot of John in him. He wants his wife blessed. He wants his wife overflowing in joy. He wants his wife to be able to do and everything they want to do. But Lonnie also probably is like John in that he realizes that some things, while they appear good, is not always healthy. And that's where our gifts come in of going, we got to make an adjustment or a modification here. It's not trying to restrict the wife. It's trying to protect the marriage, the mental stability of everybody. Because Jamie, am I right or not that when you have so much on you, you're trying to fix everybody, nobody's responding, or they're going, what does that do to you mentally? Just
Drains you, makes you feel depressed and discouraged, and it's
Mhm.
just, overwhelmed.
So now, how much does Lonnie have of Jamie?
Not enough, that's for sure.
Okay, so again, we measure our behaviors in honoring the marriage because everything has to be measured with that. And then the subcategory of that is how do we honor it? Where are our intimacies, spiritually, emotionally, physical? Because Jamie, you've said it. You're so stressed out, so overwhelmed that the physical things become an issue. We discussed it in the coaching group. Am I accurate? Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah.
What would your life look like, everybody? And I don't want to pick on Jamie, but Lonnie, Tanya, John, trust me, guys, I am sincere when I say, when I teach, when I coach, whatever I do, when I'm writing my Godly Strong book, I am constantly in a mode of analyzing John. Constantly.
Right, your own behavior to make sure that you're,
That's right.
doing what you preach.
That's right. I want to make sure, because you know what happens? I'm learning on my own as I study and as I teach and as I coach. Are you saying, writing, teaching anything that you don't adhere to yourself? So unless I am completely spiritually blind, what I tell you, I actually do. So it's probably why I get passionate about it. So you were talking about the stress and all of that. Now you measure that up spiritually, emotionally, physically, along with Hebrews 13:4. And now if you do that, you can see there might be a problem. So what would it look like, Jamie, if you gave someone advice and you were there for them for advice, but then after that you went, I've done my part. And then that's it.
Yeah.
What would it look like to you?
It would definitely relieve my need to feel like and when I say living for other people, it's like, for a quick example, I was at work the day before yesterday. My brother called and said, I need to talk to you about me and Ashley.
Okay.
And I replied back to him, oh my goodness, with things that are going on with me and Misty, if you tell me that you two are not working out right now, I don't know if I can handle it. And it was like, yeah, I know it's fine. You can come to me, talk to me about anything. And I obviously will be fine eventually, but I was seriously in the realization at that moment that I'm too invested in other people's lives to the point where what they're going through, I'm so empathetic that it literally almost is like I'm going through it myself, and that's not healthy. No wonder I get tired or just get depressed sometimes if I'm literally living, 7 lives for my 4 siblings and my mom and just, my best friends and all the things.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of labeled as such a good person because of all those things that I do. And I don't want to lose myself or not be me, but maybe, I feel like I was on the right path and did that with Misty. I'm kind of proud of myself with the way that I handled,
Yep.
all the messages that she sent and everything. I really didn't respond much, just other than saying, I didn't address at all the emotion of what she was saying, nothing. I just simply was like, well, do this or don't, and that's what's going to happen. And I let it go as far as that went. So to answer your question directly now, with all that said, I definitely think it would take a lot of pressure off me if I just was like, I can listen, I can offer you advice, but the action can't be done by me. You need to do this yourself.
All
And
right.
then just
Okay.
kind of, step back.
Well, let me give you guys a couple of tidbits, and I don't even know how long we've been, but I don't, it doesn't bother me. Ministry is ministry to me. Two things. I read these articles, and I will say, now I'm busy. I am really, really busy. There's an art to learning how to be busy and then stop. And I don't know why. I guess God gifted me with it, and that's why he called me to do what I do. But I get annoyed with these articles. With our lives as busy as they are, we have to be intentional. Blah, blah. No, they always want to say create time and do this and do that. And I'm thinking, well, why is your life so busy? It rubs me the
Right.
wrong way when I read that. If your life is, I read an article and I put it in the messenger group. If you're too busy, you're too busy. If you're
Yep,
too
I like
tired,
that.
you're
You're
too
too tired.
tired.
Yes.
And I
Correct
love
it.
that. I love that.
Yes. It's
There-
simple, and that's like a great simple message to just literally point blank. If you are feeling exhausted, if you are feeling too tired, you're too tired. You need to adjust your life so that you
That's
don't
right.
have to.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're not 45 years old anymore. I said that because Tanya's 45. We're not 25 anymore. Like I said, I was a single dad. I had 3 kids. They all 3 played sports, and it was busy, but not too pure exhaustion busy. Those were great times. I loved it. Now we're older. We're not made to run at that pace like we did at 25 years old. Now we're
Monty's over
supposed
here
to,
going, no, we're not.
and we're supposed to be there for people without over being there for people, because there's a difference. Now, let me tell you something that happened with me, and this is what Tanya did, and it actually made me feel really good. I was downstairs, and something was going on, and she asked me a really simple question. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use Paul of the Bible to get my heart behind what I'm saying. Paul said, watch how I operate, imitate me, do what I'm doing so that your faith can grow. See, it was never about Paul. He wasn't saying, look at me because I'm awesome and I'm perfect. He's like, watch what I'm doing for the sake of the Bible and for the sake of Christ, and imitate that so your faith can grow. Well, I'm kind of in that mindset. And this is why I am, because I hear all of this overwhelmed. I hear it. Tanya came downstairs and something crazy was going on. I don't even remember what it was. And she just finally said, how do you stay so calm? And my answer was a simple one, because God's got me. That's my answer.
Right.
God's got me. I don't worry. My daughter went through some heavy stuff about 3 years ago. Serious stuff down in Florida. I knew she was going through some stuff. So what did I do? I took it to my Father who can handle it.
You prayed about it. Exactly.
And my faith is that of which I said, God, I'm handing this to you because you're perfect. You know how to handle her. You know how to handle that situation. There you go. And I didn't obsess over. I just, okay, he's got it now. It's like handing the car off to my mom and dad to take it down to the mechanics. I don't worry about them when they're driving down there because they can handle it. I'm not worried about it when I hand it over to God. God, here you go. That's how I stay calm. When Tanya, and she'll verify this, my old band did a reunion CD. My friend at the time, his son wanted a copy of it. Well, he lives in Campbellsville, Kentucky. She was headed to Columbia, Kentucky, which is about an hour and a half away, and you have to drive right through Campbellsville to get there. I said, "Will you take this to Christian for me?" Now, Christian knew me since he was a little kid. I had vision, all that stuff. And he told Tanya when she met him down there, he said, "I love that guy. Nothing seems to bother him." And I had lost vision. I had been widowed. And you know what? That's a testimony to Jesus, if you ask me. Because I get asked all the time,
Right.
"How did you make it?" I said, "Because God is my strength. He's my comfort and my peace." And when God says, "I will give you the peace that passes even your comprehension levels," he's not kidding. He will do that. When you can rest in his peace and sit back and know that he's got it, you will be amazed at the peace that will start to overtake you, knowing that our Father, who cares way more about us than we can comprehend, when we know that he's got it, if you keep obsessing over it, what you're really saying is, "I don't trust God's got this. He's
Right.
not going to be able to take care of this. I've got to do something." That's where Peter got in the way. There's just so much to this life, and I think we overcomplicate it sometimes. And a lot of
Yeah, we
times,
sure do.
huh?
We sure do. I definitely realize that sometimes I'm too serious and I, don't allow myself to have fun the way I should because I'm just always thinking about, all the
Thi-
things and
Things that
I
might not
just
be
need to
really
live.
your business, that type of thing, in the
Right.
grand scheme of things. Like, when one part of the body hurts, the rest of the body hurts. I got it. But here's the thing. What we've got to do is fill our role and stop there. Stop right
Yes.
there. If
Yes.
the paperwork at the car dealership's not done, it's not Lonnie's job to run down there, sit in that guy's desk and try to do the paperwork. That's not his job. But he's trying to fix something that's not his role to fix. And that's what we do often. We want to jump in somebody else's role and do what they're not doing to our standards, or they're not doing because whatever lame excuses we can come up with, instead of just going, "God, I've done my part. It's your job to make it grow." 1 Corinthians 3. And we will be rewarded according to our works. So do what you do with passion. I quoted it today in the group. Do everything, your calling, work at it in full.
Yes, you're right. You're
And it won't
absolutely
come back
right.
in vain. But full doesn't mean overboard full.
Yes.
That's not full. Because when you look at it like this, I'm going to try to stop, guys, but this is what happens, But I do have chills. I do have chills because God just dropped an analogy on me. When you go out to eat, you eat, stomach gets content, you're full, aren't you?
Yes.
"Oh, I can't eat another bite. Whew. Hey, I'll take another steak, please."
It's
And then what happens? Now you're
not
sick
good.
and you're going to
Yeah.
throw up because you took on more than you were supposed to. Gluttony is not just an eating sin, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's not.
So there's your sermon for today. I want to start a
It's
church.
You should.
Oh man, I don't know how I could do it because I hear these pastors. I'm like, man, that's good. Wish I could come up with stuff like that. But God also taught me, I'm putting in your mouth what I want to come out of your mouth. Don't try to be somebody else. So,
That's right.
but I get on my rolls and I just get passionate about God's word because it works.
It does work. And that's the thing people have to understand. Like, that conversation I had with my brother a couple weeks ago about how, he thinks I'm so corny and I'm a Jesus freak and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, good.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you live right upstairs. And months ago, you heard me and Ronnie going at it and, on the brink of no more. And now, when's the last time you heard that
Yep.
in our home?
Isn't that
It
beautiful?
works.
Yep.
It does. It's truly working. And you know, they of course will just be like, oh, well, God, schmod, that's just you changing your mindset and giving you the credit to somebody else.
Okay,
No.
yeah, that's right. That's 2 Corinthians 5:17. Thank you for quoting scripture. For those who are in Christ Jesus, we have a new mind. Old things are passed away. All things become new. Yeah. You just quoted a scripture to me, Bobby. Thank you for that.
Oh, I'm gonna tell them that. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. For those who are in Christ Jesus, we have the renewing of our mind. We are transformed and the old things are gone. Oh, yeah. That means they're seeing it.
They are seeing it. That's a good thing.
So do you realize, Bobby, you just quoted scripture to me?
He sure doesn't.
Yeah, right there it is.
Yeah, no, he'll be like, what?
Yeah, take it to him, open it and say, remember what you said? I'd
Right,
set him
yeah.
up. Remember you said my mindset's changed and all that, and I'm just giving credit to somebody else. Read this verse. That's exactly what's happening. Thank you.
I should do that. That's a great idea. I will.
That's good. What, Lonnie?
Lonnie said, yeah, if you want to get cussed out, because you know he's just going to look at you and be like,
That's okay. Let him cut
shut
you
up.
out.
You
By the
know?
way, I've not heard from him anyway, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? They heard us on the phone with the workshop and they were like, oh, you know, we don't really feel comfortable doing like couples things with other couples and da da da. And I said, who said you had to jump right into that? You don't.
Mm-mm,
You don't have to
mm-mm.
feel obligated.
Don't have to
to
say a
do-
word.
Don't have to do any of that. Yeah. You
They can
just-
sit there and listen, or they can just come one-on-one. They don't have to be in the workshop.
Yeah, that's what I told him. So he was like, all right, send me his info again. This was yesterday. He said, send me his info again, but don't say anything to Ashley. Yeah, just let me think about it myself. So I'm like, okay, well, that sounds great. You know, he
Yeah.
actually upset me a little bit yesterday. I told him he was, you know, I said, Bob, your thinking right now is worldly and it's selfish, then it's not all right, you know, because he was like, James, you know, I just, this whole family thing and everything, he's like, I'm just, you know, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. He's like, I just don't even know what to do. I'm just always worrying about her. And, you know, if I wasn't with her, I'd have so much more money and I'd have so much more this and that. And I'm just like,
That's hilarious.
wow, Bobby. I said, you know, but it's so much more than that, so much bigger than that in life. And I
Yeah.
said, you're just thinking about yourself and
Yep.
and I think he's kind of freaking out. He's engaged. He's 25. His fiance is pregnant. They already have a 1-year-old baby and 2 dogs. And a year ago, this dude was out on the town, a single man, you know, and
Yep.
just, well, not a year. They've been together a little more than a year, but you know, 2 years ago, that was definitely the case. So I think he's just like, oh my gosh, my life has changed so much. And he's tweaking a little bit, but you know, he's got I get worried that mentality is going to turn into something where he feels validated and righteous and doing very selfish things in his
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. So, all right.
And actually,
So,
I told him he should just get married like
Hmm.
right away. Like just go and do a little tiny small church thing or something because they want like this big fancy wedding and they actually postponed their wedding now for like 2 years. I'm like, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. You know, because he was like, well, you know, I just feel like we'll see what happens and you know, maybe we're not even going to work out. I'll be a great single dad. I'm like, oh my gosh. You're really, really scaring me.
yeah, that's the world's mindset. And that's why
It
our
is.
marriages are so important for people to see, because we are to set the
Yes.
standard. We are to
Yes.
set the standard.
Yes.
And you know,
That's so
Jamie,
true, John.
and if you're exhausted all the time, what kind of an example is that going to set with you and Lonnie? If they're like, man, Jamie is always exhausted. Man, Lonnie must be draining her.
Well,
You
you know
know,
what?
We got to set
mean,
the standard.
they do feel that, but in a different sense, actually. I do a lot for other people, and they're like, you know, I don't really. Lonnie doesn't. He does now more so than ever, and now they're feeling like, oh, it's Lonnie making her do this.
Yeah.
You know, Lonnie's
them
taking
take it.
her away from us, basically.
What? Wait. Taking you away from them?
Yeah, that's how they
Well,
feel.
I hate to tell them, but you were never theirs. You are Lonnie's. He's not taking you away. You belong to him.
That's
You
what
don't.
I've said too. I've
Yeah,
said
what
that
the
to
heck?
them. Like,
World
I'm
men-
not married to you guys.
That's right.
I'm
That
not
is
married
the
to you.
worldly mentality, which is why, think about it, Jamie. Gosh, Jamie, this is pick on Jamie day. You just said you're doing everything for everybody else. They see it. How much do they see you doing for your husband?
A lot, actually.
Good.
A lot. And they
Good.
actually hate it.
Wait, we already went through that.
Good.
What do
Good.
you mean we already went through that?
Wait, we already went through that.
You know, I mean, my brother, my sister will be like, "You seriously get up with Lonnie at 2:30 in the morning and make him breakfast and coffee and stuff?"
That's
'Cause
beautiful.
Bobby will see that I'm online. After Lonnie leaves, I'll lay down and put some like Bible app on or something. He sees that I'm active online, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. I just, made sure Lonnie had lunch and made his
That's
breakfast and stuff
awesome.
and got up with him for a little bit." And he's like, "That's corny." He's like, "Ashley would never get up with me in the middle of the night."
That's why it's
And-
corny, because he doesn't have
yeah.
it.
But that's what I said. If he was getting those things, and I said to him, "Wow, that's awesome, Bob, that she does that. My wife wouldn't do that for me." You know what he'd say to me? And that's his sister.
Mhm.
He'd be like, "Well, you picked the corny bitch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how he
You
talks.
picked that type of woman. What do you
Yeah.
want from me?"
Yeah, that is what he would say.
My favorite thing
Yeah.
about that story is Lonnie spelled the word.
I know.
I love
right?
that. I love that.
He has
Um,
really grown.
Well, that's what happens when you depend on the Bible to lead you instead of yourself. God will.
You're absolutely right.
God cleans you out. He does.
He does.
Because
Yeah.
you know
yeah,
what?
Lonnie will catch himself and feel guilty. He'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm thinking."
The more spirit, the more conviction.
Yeah.
Proud of
Mhm.
you, man.
Thank you.
I'm serious. I am.
And I do.
Yep.
I'm so proud of him too.
I tell your all story a lot because it's a good point for me to make emphatically. And matter of fact, I slipped up yesterday, and I'm going to be now. It was with Dave in our work group. Dave's my best friend, and when I talk about your all story, I'll say I'm working with a couple, and I slipped up and said, and I told Lonnie, "Oh no, I didn't just say that." But I don't know if Dave caught it, but if he did, Dave's one, you could tell him anything. He doesn't tell anybody, but
And we told you guys, like, use our
I
testimony.
know.
That's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's. I'll be
yeah.
right back, guys. I'm going to give the phone to Lonnie because I have to use the ladies' room really quick.
Oh, wow. She's even got her own bathroom in the house. She sounds spoiled, Lonnie.
Oh, we only have our own bathroom because Misty just changed in it like a phone booth and took off. Yeah,
No.
I had to wait for her. She saw me cut. She was coming out of the bathroom, saw me coming, ran back in there. That's where I missed you having that, what I said to you earlier, and you said you already discussed that. I was using the restroom. She runs back in there and proceeds to start doing things she needs to do. And I said, "Misty, do you mind if I just use the bathroom?" Yeah, and got the phone in her ear. She's rushing because her man put so much on her to be ready for him 24/7. And she swears, no, it's not him, but it is. Her phone is they go to sleep at night and they're on video watching each other sleep. That's how ridiculous this is. And so she looks at me and goes, "Yeah, I'll just go and change in my truck because I've got to be there because I've got to this and that." I said, "Well, I've got to pee right now." And I'm thinking to myself, I paid a mortgage in this place and I need to use the bathroom right now.
Well, I was going
I
to.
said, "It'll only take me a second. You can get right back." "That's fine. That's fine." Rushes past me. She's like, "I know, babe. I know, babe. I'm trying, but I don't even care about that. I don't care what this man thinks outside of my home of how much he's putting on her, and we're in her way for
Yeah,
him."
in your house.
And the sad part is she don't get it. But what I was saying earlier, I feel for Misty in that fact that this is who she is. I mean, my mother-in-law is the same exact way. If she had, I've been here long enough to see my mother-in-law transition from two different men into the marriage that she has now.
and she literally will drop her. She dropped her kids on us, Bobby and Jeremy, dropped them right on us, Misty right on us. And that man is everything to her, and she throws money at the kids to keep them from interfering with her and her relationship.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Misty's doing.
Yep.
Exactly to a
Learned
T.
behavior.
I mean, right down to she likes a certain type of music. Now, if this man likes a whole different kind of music, that's what she's completely on. You can't even play the other kind of music around her ever. She'll be like, I don't even listen to this anymore. I'm more like this now. Yeah, because the man that's in your life, that's what he likes. You fashion your life 100% to the person that you are now involved with. And if that changes next week, you'll be somebody different next week.
Well, Lonnie, let me say this, man. I would, I don't know if you've tried this or not. Excuse me, but I'm concerned that this vehicle that she has is on your insurance. Have you?
It is.
Have you
It
told
is.
her to get her own?
This is what I told her. I said, listen, because it's one step at a time. She's only got so much money to work with, so on and so forth. I said, Misty, this is what I would like for you to do. Now that you've paid in payments the down payment that I paid, and you're now paying just the monthly payment, and you pay it by the week, which is $130. I said, if you double that, it'll still be less than what you were just paying, that you were capable of paying, that I had to teach her that she's capable of paying. She wanted to take the truck straight up and just be like, I can only give you what I can give you. I'm like, no, I still have to make the payment, you know? So it went from that to, no, I'm just going to pay the $130 a week. I said, well, here's the thing. I could put you down on my insurance. You could get safe driving experience. So then you could open up your own once it's paid off. And I give you the title and you sign it, you can get an insurance policy with them because your name is already with them. And you could do, no, I can't do that. No, I'm just going to do this. And now it's down to she can't even make that payment half the time now.
And take the truck.
So to answer your question, as soon as Jamie makes her decision on what she wants to do and how she wants to handle this, I told her, if Misty decides that she don't want to hear you and she's just going to move out, or if she decides, or you decide to tell her she's got 30 days to go, that means she's got 30 days to find a vehicle as well.
Yeah.
Even though she's ruined the vehicle, I mean, she'll be handing it back to me. I mean, 100% just, I don't even want the thing no more. I don't smoke. It's smoked up. The seats are burned. The transmission needs to be replaced now. The four-wheel drive is messed up. There's dents in it. There's lights out on it. I mean, she has just ruined it, and it's only been a couple of months.
Here's the thing. See, this is where the boundary is for me. Well, I'm only going to pay you this. Well, when do you tell that to a bank? You don't.
Yeah.
Number two.
I can't even get to that point to tell her that because she already cuts me out of the equation. I'm not putting it, and she tells Jamie flat out, your husband is whatever word she came up with. And she's like, no, I'm not.
Here's the other thing, though. Okay, you can't afford it. Well, then how do you afford the Airbnbs?
That I tried to tell her that. That's the conversation I told you.
Okay, so that tells you here's the saying. It's like I put in the Godly Strong book. Real men do what they have to do. Little boys do what they want to do.
Yep.
So she is incredibly immature. I'm not so sure I'd let her have the truck. She's obviously going to dictate. This is why she has a hard time taking advice, because she does what she wants and she makes sure she gets her way.
Right. And if she, and the way I look at it like this is, this isn't my heart, obviously, because I go through all these things and I'm not looking for credit. I just don't want backlash.
That's
like
right.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
However, I can put it in a different way in her terms if she wants to know it. And those terms would be, you think I'm tyrannical now? You ever heard the song that says, if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight? If you think I'm tyrannical now, think about how tyrannical I am when you have to walk from here to Beeville to hold your man's hand when the two of you walk from there to your Airbnb.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tyrannical.
But that's what it's gonna take for her to wake up. And if she doesn't wake up at that, what else can you
Right.
do? Nothing.
Well,
That's what I'm
that's the
talking about.
that's
Hands
the next
off.
step. But the
Hands
thing
off.
is my wife needs to get to the point where she realizes that just because that happens doesn't mean that that's where your next step or your next move is to be like, well, don't worry about it, Misty. I'll have to give you a ride. I'll have to do this. I'll have to do that, because that ain't working either. That's not
No.
what was working to
Mm-mm.
begin
tell
with.
your
That's why
boyfriend to
she's
pick you
got
up.
the truck.
Yeah,
Huh?
Tell your boyfriend to pick you up. Oh, wait.
he doesn't have a car. Hey, guys, I have to rush off. I got to go give a quote on a house cleaning job. I'm going to do some house cleaning on the side.
Oh, nice.
Just to, yeah. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But I
Well,
used to do it all.
thanks for hanging in there with our
Yep.
crazy
Oh no,
stuff.
I feel total compassion because like I've been in Jamie's shoes. I know what it's like to deal with all of this. So it's like I'm so praying for you all, and you all are doing so amazing and making such good strides, and it's not been easy, I know. And the tough stuff is not easy. So is
I
Jamie
appreciate it.
Is Jamie still in the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay,
So
let her know to message me later, and kind of keep me updated about how things are going, and if she needs advice on anything individually, to let me know. But I will talk to you all soon.
all right, and good
All
luck
right.
with your new endeavor.
Yeah, it's like I said, I used to do it all the time, and it's easy money and no schedule. So like I can go and play. It's a friend of mine, her daughter's struggling. So we'll see. We'll see
Okay.
how bad it is. I've taken on stuff before that I regretted. Like,
Anyways,
Sorry, I forgot to
get
record.
to get to my question, I already know what the consequences are going to be, and I already know how I am. If I tell her, like, we're dealing with a situation like this with Jamie's aunt who moved out, we discussed all that with you. She's now trying to take us to court for money that we don't even owe her, that we said we would pay back in good to be nice, which we shouldn't have even be doing that. If we would have stuck to what the legal terms were, and it was her decision to go through all this and to create all these problems for us, then I mean, going to court, a judge can say anything, but we have legal documentation that says we don't owe this woman money, period. Anyway, it was a gift that she wanted to move in. So we're dealing with that issue already. But my whole thing is, if I take the truck from her, I feel like she's gonna want the money back that she's paid.
I didn't even see y'all sitting over there.
Appreciate it. No problem. No problem. All right.
See you later, bro.
We're on the run. She's got to be to work soon, and I got to make something happen. So I will see you.
All right.
All right, later. Sorry about that, John.
You're good.
So basically, we're dealing with that situation. I already know she's going to be like, well, that money that I paid down for a down payment that Lonnie paid, then I want that back.
Yeah.
At first, she's going to be mad because we're taking the vehicle, and she's not going to see reason, which that part I don't care about. Now that's one more thing that I'm going to have to deal with. And if she doesn't go to court or she doesn't fight it like that, then she's going to put her man, who is not going to handle me, in the position to on his own problem, because she already boo-hoos to him that we're the worst, period. And then wants to talk us into letting this man stay, that he doesn't have a problem with us. I'm like, you paint a picture to every man that we're the worst because you have to explain to them that you've got to leave now because you need to go home because not because your son needs you, but because we're putting pressure on you and we're just ridiculous and this and that. So he feels deprived. So he automatically thinks that we're horrible and mistreat her, excuse me. I already know what that's going to entail. My question to you is, since the insurance thing, we can't separate insurance. We can't do any of that. And it's not coming from me to punish her or to treat her bad at all. I really want to see her succeed as my sister-in-law and to do things biblically and to tried to not get in the middle between Jamie and her sister's relationship and see that happen. But I'm seriously thinking that I'm gonna, we need to tell her, well, you know what? Here's the situation. That truck that we gave you, I just want you to critique what I'm thinking is what I'm doing here. That truck that we sold to you for you to get back and forth to work and to enrich your life and be able to do things for your son that you asked to be able to do, like pick him up from school or take him where he needs to go or do things like that. I think you're abusing that. And I think at this moment, we'll just, since you have no money and you're broke and you're strapped and you're this and you're that, but you have money to stay at a hotel right next to your job and you can afford that, which most people can't, but you seem to be able to. I think maybe you should move into that hotel right next to your job, which is in walking distance to your job, and you and your man stay there since you can afford that and you don't need a vehicle. And I think I'm revoking it back.
Okay. Well, what was the agreement of her having the truck?
The agreement was the down payment that I paid, she paid me that back, or paid me that in payments and make the monthly payment.
And that the truck was hers.
And that the truck would be hers upon paying it off. It's hers.
Okay. Do you guys
And
have
so
an
the
actual
title
paper
and the
contract?
readers- No, we do not.
Okay. So do you have witnesses that this was the agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Is she current on her payments?
Yes.
Okay. Legally, I don't think you can take the truck. So that is
I
it.
thought about that too.
Yeah, legally you cannot take it because if there's a verbal contract and she's held that contract up, you have no legal rights to take it back. So at that point, man, that's a little bit complex because she's not paying insurance. So here's what I think I would consider. Well, see, if you put it in her name, that means it's got to be paid off and there can't be a lien on it. Is there a lien on it?
Right.
Okay.
And if the insurance has to stay in Lonnie's name.
Right.
you
Okay.
know,
So here's, that limits your options. I think you can approach her and say, look, I am paying insurance on this truck. And because it's your truck, it should be your insurance payment. And if she starts doing well, I don't have the money. Well, then you need to turn in the truck. If you're going to keep it in my name, you need to pay the insurance payment. Pick your poison. Which one do you want? Because legally at that point, if she refuses to carry insurance on it or pay the insurance payment, you can maybe take it away. I don't know the legal thing behind that, but here's your other option. That's my truck. I mean, that truck is your truck. I would record this, by the way. Is that truck yours? Yes. Okay. So this is your truck. You've been making payments on it. Yes. Okay. You need to make insurance payments on it. No. Well, then I am taking it off of my insurance because if you wreck, I'm not going to be held responsible for your accident. Gosh, I'm brainstorming my way through this, guys, because I wasn't ready for this. She needs to be responsible for the insurance payment, and you can remove the truck off of your insurance if she's not willing to pay me, and that might be the ultimatum. Here's your choice. But see, that puts you in a bind too. Is unless there's a way legally, I think you can do this, Lonnie. I think you can do this legally.
If I take it off my insurance, the person that I bought it from, the dealership that I bought it from was a buy here, pay here. They will take it back because I breached contract.
And that goes
And
on
they're
your
going to
credit.
charge me for all the damages that have been done to it since I've had it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You have, I'm assuming, keys to the truck?
No, there's only one set of keys to it.
That's a tough one, man. You might be in a bit of a pickle. I can't think of any other option except just to demand her to pay your insurance payment.
Yeah, and I think she will pay it too. I mean, she won't like it, but she'll be like, okay, Lonnie, fine, whatever. You know what I mean? And then she'll just pay it. But at the end of the day, with the truck, at least being able to have the conversation with her that, hey, you know, the whole idea behind you having this truck to begin with was so that you could take Hayden places, you
Right.
could go to work, you could start saving money towards your future goals. That's what you wanted. To have the independence to be able to start doing things for yourself. And all you have done is do things for yourself. And that's it. Nothing that's working towards your future. Nothing that is working
Yeah.
towards a better relationship with Hayden. Just simply what you want to do is what you've been doing. And that's
Okay, was there any
it. Just running
discussion
all
about,
over the place with her.
yeah, now, was there any insurance discussion when she took over the truck payments?
Yes, it was. She
Okay,
could, because the reason why she ended up with a vehicle from me is because we were carpooling and it's costing us way too much in gas and time. Jamie and I never saw each other.
okay,
Or I wasn't getting enough sleep because I was having to pick her up because where I worked at the time was closer to Jamie. Jamie wasn't working at the moment she got the job. So she went against me. Our advice is to get a job near us. She went and got the job where she got it because she knew people there and it was pretty much a shoe-in. So therefore, she had to do it that way because she just couldn't, she just didn't have it in her to interview and do all this stuff, and prove herself and explain why she is, you know, on the system for, you know, criminalistic behavior and all that. These people are already aware of her, they already know her, and they want her to work there. So she took the easiest route. So with that said, it was taxing us horribly. And I was either losing sleep to go pick her up from work, or Jamie was constantly on the run, taking her everywhere. So, and she was begging to be able to save her money, not pay any bills so she can afford a car. And I showed her this place where I bought the truck from. I actually bought a truck from there and was originally suggesting it to her because it was a buy here, pay here place, and she could get a car pretty cheap. When she found out that her payments would be somewhere around $400 or $500 a month, she was like, "Oh no, I don't want a car now. No, I'm not. I want to be able to save my money and have a nest egg." Mind you, she wasn't paying any bills with us at all. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and argue with her about that and ration how crazy that notion is, because you can't teach rocks to swim. So therefore, she's not going to get that. I said, how about the truck that I purchased? I'll sell it to her. I'll propose it to her. She originally was going to buy a car that I had that had issues. And I said, well, I will pay for the mechanic to fix it. I'm set an appointment with him. She couldn't wait. She got her license and was like, I can't wait for his appointment. I need the car now, so on and so forth. And Jamie was very fed up with driving her back and forth, so she was pressuring me too. I gave her the car. Well, the car didn't prove out. She did not want to listen to what she had to do to keep it going in order to get there. So she let it shut off on herself and did not try to start it back up or try to do anything with it, and called me back when I was taking Hayden to go do something fun to go rescue her, and then broke down and told me, I can't do this with this car. I just can't do it. I can't wait for the mechanic to fix it. I have to have something stable. So I said, well, I tell you what, I'll sell you this truck. Right? I had another vehicle besides that I was driving that I hit a deer with. I told her, I said, you forget about that car and forget about the money that you've given me. Take that off of what I paid down, and this is what it would be to pay off what I paid down on this truck. The monthly payment is this much. She said, okay. Then we went through problems with that because she wanted to just give me the monthly payment and not even worry about the money down right now. Just have me sit there and wait on that. I said, oh no, absolutely not. She was very upset, but we came up with an agreement. I had to explain to her that, you know, you have to prioritize your money. You have to see how much you make. You make enough. You just have to stop staying at an Airbnb. You have to stop spending all your money on food out when we buy groceries, and you don't have to pay for that. You have to stop giving Hayden money constantly at large amounts because it's not good for him right now. He's smoking weed, he's vaping, he's doing this, and that's one of the ways that he's getting it because you're just throwing money at him. And you'll see that you have enough money. Well, that conversation ended up going smooth after she tried to be defensive. And she was like, you know what? You're right. Well, that went well until she paid off the down payment and paid a couple months worth of car note. Then it just all went down the crapper because she's broke every week because this is what she's doing. So to answer your question, or to complete your answer to your question, in a more yes or no or this or that manner, we discussed everything, and she was totally in understanding of what it was for, how it was supposed to be, and everything. And
So-
she was taking it to the furthest extent of not doing it.
Okay, so she did agree to pay for the insurance as well.
No,
No, she did not.
Oh, that's right. I told her I will keep the vehicle insured until it's paid off, and then I will sign the title over to you, and you get your own insurance. I'll put you on my insurance. And she said, okay. Then I
Okay,
approached her when the down payment was up. I said to her, it's less than what you were paying. All you have to do is make a double payment a month because you're paying weekly. If you just pay 2 times what you're paying weekly for just the car note alone, it's still $100 and something cheaper than you were paying to begin with because you were paying the down payment in payments.
yeah.
And then that way the car will be paid off in like 6-7 months, and you'll own it outright. You'll have driving history with the insurance company that I have. You can get your own policy. You'll be completely independent. And she refused.
How much longer is the note on that?
That's where the insurance situation and everything came in.
Okay, so
Trying
basically,
to make her independent without costing her too much and cutting her a huge break in ways. So she doesn't feel overwhelmed. She's got money to do things with her son, etc. I don't want to take all of her money. We don't charge her bills. I wasn't charging her insurance. Her only bill is her car note. That's it. And she did not want to pay it off
yeah,
quickly
well,
by paying double.
well, when you said that you told her you would keep insurance on it until it was paid off, that locked you into another verbal contract. So that
It
is,
sure did.
that's
Sure
the
did.
original agreement. And unless she agrees to modify your contract legally, I'm speaking legalistically, sound like a scriptural thing.
Right.
There's nothing you can do. Now, if
Right.
she leaves the house, you still might be bound by that. So how much longer is this truck note?
Well, it was a 2-year truck though. I got it I can't remember. I think I have like a year or a year.
Your internet's bad.
Maybe a month left on it. Somewhere along in there. The area is sketchy. It's about a year.
About a little over a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so worst case scenario, you have less than a year.
Right.
Okay. My suggestion, I'm not an attorney, obviously, but my suggestion would be to draw up a contract that says because she's moving out, she agrees to continue to make the payments on the truck. And I would go ahead and list all of her payments, show that she's caught up, everything's good. and that any missed payments will result in repossession. We agree to carry the insurance until this date, which means you would have to find out the final payment date. And on that date, the truck must be converted into her name and into her insurance. Because on that day, insurance will be dropped on it. That protects you from going any further than the end of the note. That keeps you bound to your agreement to her. And you've also got it set up to where she misses a payment, you can go get the truck legally because there's a contract. Now, if she won't sign the contract, that brings up another problem. But legally, if she doesn't make a payment, you can still go get it. Because she would, the proof, she would have to prove that she made the payment if she ever took you to court. Are you guys there?